My phone rang at 2:47 in the morning. I was alone in the building. I'd been alone for 6 hours. I looked at the screen. The caller ID said my name, my full name, my number. I stared at it for 4 rings. Then I answered. The voice on the other end was mine. Same pitch, same accent, same slight rasp I get when I've been awake too long. It said 3 words, and then the line went dead. Don't go downstairs. I was already on the ground floor. I need to explain the job first because the job matters. I was 26 years old, and I was working night security at a pharmaceutical storage facility on the edge of the city. Not a glamorous job, not a dangerous one either. Or so I thought. The building was 4 floors, climate-controlled storage on floors 2, 3, and 4. Ground floor was offices, loading docks, and a small security booth near the entrance. And my shift was 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., 5 nights a week. Just me. The routine was simple. Hourly walkthroughs, check the cameras, sign the log. Sit in the booth and watch the monitors and try not to fall asleep. I had been doing it for 7 months without a single incident. The most exciting thing that had happened on that job was a raccoon getting into the loading dock in November. I was not a person who's scared easily. I want you to understand that before I tell you the rest. The first night anything strange happened was a Tuesday in February. It was cold. The kind of cold that gets into the building no matter how good the heating is. I was doing my 2 a.m. walkthrough on the 3rd floor when I heard something. Footsteps below me on the ground floor. I stopped walking and listened. The building was completely silent, except for the hum of the climate systems. Then I heard it again. Slow, deliberate. The sound of someone who was not in a hurry. I went back to the stairwell and I called down, "Security, identify yourself." Nothing. I went down. Ground floor was empty. Every door locked. Loading dock sealed. Cameras showed nothing. I logged it as a possible structural sound and went back to the booth. I told myself it was the buildings settling. Buildings settle. That's what I told myself. The first call came 3 nights later. It was just after midnight. My phone buzzed on the desk and I looked down and I saw my own name on the screen. My first thought was that it was a glitch, some kind of software error, a misdial that had looped back somehow. I answered. Silence. Not dead silence. The kind of silence that has something behind it. Breathing, maybe. Or just the sound of an open line in a quiet place. I said hello twice. Nothing. I hung up. I called my own number back immediately. It rang out. Voicemail. I sat in the booth and I looked at the call log on my phone. The call had come from my number. Duration 14 seconds. I had no explanation for that. The second call came the following Tuesday. Same time, just after midnight. This time when I answered, there was no silence. There was breathing. Slow and steady, like someone completely calm. I said, "Who is this?" The breathing stopped, and then a voice said, "You need to check the basement." My voice, saying words I had not said. I want to be clear about something. That building did not have a basement. It was built on a concrete slab. No subfloor, no basement. I had read the building's specs in my first week on the job. I hung up. I sat very still for a long time. Then I opened the building specs on my work computer, and I found something I had missed the first time. A sub-level. Not a basement exactly. A maintenance crawl space that ran the full length of the building. Access hatch in the utility room at the back of the ground floor. A room I had never opened in 7 months on the job. The third call came on a Friday, 2:47 in the morning. I looked at the screen. My name. My number. I answered immediately this time. My voice came through clearly. No static. No distortion. Just my voice, calm and low, saying 3 words. Don't go downstairs. Then the line went dead. I put the phone down on the desk, and I looked at the monitor showing the utility room camera. The door to the utility room was open. I had checked it at midnight. It had been locked. I watched the monitor for a long time. Nothing moved. The room was dark except for the green glow of the emergency light above the door. I picked up my radio. I picked up my flashlight. And I went, because that's what you do. That's the job. The utility room smelled like cold concrete and machine oil. I swept the flashlight around. Storage shelves, electrical panels, a utility sink, and in the floor, in the far corner, a metal hatch. It was open. Not all the way, just a few inches, propped open with something. I crossed the room and I shone the light down through the gap. Concrete. Pipes. Maybe 4 feet of crawl space below. And at the edge of the flashlight beam, a pair of shoes. Someone was down there. I stepped back and I called the police. And I went back to the security booth and I watched the utility room camera until they arrived. The hatch did not move. The shoes did not move. It took them 11 minutes to get there. The longest 11 minutes of my life. Police found a man in the crawl space. He had been down there for what they estimated was 2 days. He was alive. Barely. He was dehydrated and hypothermic, and he could not answer questions coherently for several hours after they pulled him out. His name was never released publicly. What I was told by the detective who took my statement was that he was a former employee of the company. Terminated 8 months earlier. 1 month before I started. They found his car parked 3 blocks away. In it, they found tools, documents, and a burner phone. The detective asked me if I had received any unusual calls during my shifts. I told him about the 3 calls. He wrote it down, and he didn't say anything for a moment. Then he said, "The burner phone had 1 number in the outgoing log. Yours." I asked him what that meant. He said he didn't know yet. He said they were still working through it. I never heard from him again. I quit that job the following Monday. I gave no notice. I sent an email. I never went back to that building. I have thought about those calls almost every day since. About my voice on the other end of the line. Calm. Certain. Saying exactly what I needed to hear at exactly the right moment. The rational explanation is voice cloning software. It exists. It's not difficult to use. A few minutes of audio is enough to replicate a voice. And I had a public voicemail greeting that anyone could have recorded. That's the rational explanation. But here's what I keep coming back to. The 3rd call told me not to go downstairs, and I went anyway. And everything turned out fine. But what if I hadn't gone? What if I had listened? That man would have died in that crawl space before morning. So either someone who wanted me to find him told me not to, or something that knew I would go anyway said the one thing that would make sure I did. I don't know which of those is more unsettling. I'm not sure I want to. What I know is this. Some nights I still wake up at 2:47. I don't know why that time. I don't know why every time. I just lie there in the dark and I wait for my phone to light up. So far, it never does. So far. If this story kept you up tonight, you're not alone. Subscribe for new stories every week. The next one is already waiting for you.